All right, Drake, let's move to the NBA and the big weekend victories for the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lake Show earned two huge victories over the weekend, defeating the Bucks on Friday by 10 and knocking off the rival Clippers Sunday by 9. The Lakers were previously winless in 3 tries against the Bucks and Clippers. All right, Drake, did these 2 wins prove the Lakers are the best team in the NBA?
First of all, let me tell you something. We ain't worried about the 3 wins before this weekend. We just worry about this weekend. And this weekend, my boys showed up. I always had confidence in them, man. Don't worry about what I said on previous shows. That wasn't the real me. Now you get the real me. My boys showed up and showed out, baby. You seen LeBron and AD out there doing their thing. You seen Avery Bradley out there giving Patrick Beverly that work. Patrick Beverly come out here and disrespect my boy talking about he ain't a challenge. No, combing your hair ain't a challenge. But hey, let me tell you something. Don't you ever disrespect the king. He out here putting y'all boys to work. Seen Kawhi? Did you see that APP out on Kawhi in the fourth quarter? Or maybe you seen the APP out on Paul George in the second half because he was nowhere to be found. But that's neither here nor there. Oh, forgot about the reigning MVP. Where you at, Giannis? You came up a little small out there with the king. But listen, yeah, I'm gloating.
Came up a little hurt, didn't he?
Yeah, he did come up hurt. I give him that. He got hurt. Well, all that aside, I had to gloat a little bit. But here's the deal. As much as I was impressed with this weekend and I love this weekend did still show me that the Lakers still need another piece to compete with the likes of the Clippers. The Bucks, they might be able to get it done. And the only reason I say that is because the Bucks, look, Middleton, that guy just ain't dependable. He is not dependable. Bledsoe, listen, Anthony Davis is putting up their productivity by his doggone self. And don't let Avery Bradley or Kyle Kuzma or Danny Green come to the party. That series is over. It is over. If those guys, if the Bucks supporting cast was just gave him a little more, when I say supporting cast, I'm talking about Middleton and Bledsoe, the 2 and the 3, I would be like, okay, they still had some work to do with the Bucks, but I'm just not impressed with what I see out of those 2 as of late. But they're still going to be a tough out. Let's not get it twisted. They will be a tough out. And once Giannis come back and get them back on the right track, the Bucks are going to win the East. I still don't see them losing the East. Now, when it comes to the real deal, the Battle of LA, the top 2 teams, the talk of the town, the talk of free agency, the king, the guy that wants to be the king, cornrows versus my hairline left a couple of years ago. Look, listen. My Lakers showed me something. However, LeBron, what it showed me was LeBron, he has to pretty much play to the next level in order for this team to have a chance. Whereas I'm looking at Kawhi here, he gets to fumble around. Why? Because Paul George can kind of carry the load a little bit. Now, we seen Paul George, that guy was on absolutely fire in the first half. But at halftime, I don't know what he did. I don't know if he was dehydrated or he didn't drink the right Gatorade or what, but he came out in the second half and he was a non-factor. And listen, I'm gonna tell you the same thing that I always say about LeBron James-led team. If a third guy comes to the party for the Lakers, it's a wrap. You can hang it up. If a third guy comes, listen, LeBron has showed you what he could do when it's just him and one other guy. But if a third guy comes, if Bradley plays like that for the rest of the season, oh yeah, my boy's gonna be in the final. They're gonna win it. Because that's all LeBron ever needed, just a third guy to give him something. And the Clippers, as good as the team they was, we seen something. Let me tell you what we seen. You have to understand that if you took Kawhi out of that team, the rest of these guys are kind of scratching and clawing. They don't have playoff success. Who else on that team got playoff success outside of Kawhi and Doc Rivers? Am I missing somebody?
No, not really. I mean, you talk about extended playoff success. I mean, they're a bit lacking. We've seen Paul George in the Eastern Conference Finals. It's been a while though.
Paul George. Okay, so I thought it was somebody I was missing that I wasn't thinking about. And Paul George is
Yeah,
that guy.
I mean, you talk about like if you're talking about championship experience, you're exactly right. Now, there's some guys. I mean, Marcus Morris with the Celtics, he's been in the playoffs. You got Reggie Jackson, he's got experience when he was back with the Thunder. It's been a long time. So there are guys that have experience, but when you talk about championship level experience, it's LeBron and Kawhi. You're absolutely right.
Okay, yeah, and so I mean, but I would see. And here's the thing now, with the Lakers now, you got LeBron. We know what he. I no need to repeat his resume, but then you got Avery Bradley. He won a championship with the Boston Celtics. You got Dwight Howard. He did not win, but he did take the Orlando Magic team to the championship, right? And then you got Danny Green. Danny Green just came off a championship himself, right? So you have guys on that team with Rondo championship. A lot of guys on that team with championship pedigree. And even if you want to say Vogel was the coach of, those Paul George teams that you just mentioned. Vogel was the coach. Right. So it's a lot of championship pedigree with the Lakers. Whereas when I look at the Clippers, when we talk about championship pedigree being, the conference finals or the NBA finals, like you said, it's two players and the coach. The rest of those guys, okay, I give Morris, but you know what I'm saying? Well, what was that team really about when they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals? It wasn't Morris. It was more of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Like those guys was the guys that was making the noise. It was so. I said all that to say this: the Lakers impressed me because they show you at times they can make it happen. But the thing that they did not show me in that game was they did not show me that if LeBron is not at a superhuman level, they can get it done without him. That's what I didn't see. Because I just watched last night, even though this has nothing to do with the weekend, but the game did happen. They go play the Nets. LeBron don't give the best performance. And, he kicks out the ball to AD, wide open three. You got to make that, and he missed it. Now, I know LeBron missed the layup prior to that, and AD missed the layup prior to that. But my point is, you're going to have to make those open shots when you're playing, like, upper-tier teams. All right, yeah, you was playing the Nets. So you probably was like, all right, we missed the shot, whatever, go home. But just think about it as if you're playing the Clippers. Like, in Game 7, you're at home. LeBron kicks it out to you. You got to make those shots. So that gave me a bit of a worry as far as the future going forward. But when it comes to the best duo, you've seen it. You've seen this weekend who has the best duo in the NBA right now. It's the Lakers. Because for everything you could tell me about Kawhi and Paul George, either A, they both don't know how to turn it on at the same time, or B, they like to take turns. But you never see them like really cooking together. Like I said, you seen Paul George cook in the first half, and I mean cook 4-course meal. But in the second half, he forgot he didn't even know how to boil water. But then you see Kawhi come along like, oh shoot, let me go ahead and slap some on the grill right quick. But it was a little too late. So that on top of the fact that the third guy. So when we talk about the Clippers, we always talk about the third guy being Lou Williams. Sweet Lou coming off that bench. Certified closer. NBA stamped approved. Well, that wasn't the case in this game. Lou Williams didn't look like Lou Williams. He looked like Lou Johnson. And I don't know who Lou Johnson is, but I'm pretty sure that's how he would play if he was playing in that game. So, it was a weird thing. Do I think Lou Williams will bring you that performance every time? No, I don't. But at the same time, you got to ask yourself, okay, Sweet Lou over here, what pedigree do he got on the highest stage? Will we be able to get what we need out of him on the high stage? So I thought that game depict a lot of things that we can take from it. Now, these teams will play again on April 9th. So we will see on April 9th if we get a repeat of the third game or a repeat of the first and second game, however you want to look at it. But look, the king was in the building, baby, and he showed you what he can do. And look, not to shortchange AD. AD is a monster on both ends of the ball, and we've seen what that defense can do. But I thought both performances was about what LeBron brought, because when he brought the energy and the attitude and the getting on the ground for loose balls, the rest of the team was like. But when LeBron brings that lethargic, I ain't feeling it tonight, the rest of the team brings that lethargic, I'm not feeling it tonight, including AD. So I like what I saw. I was impressed. Yes, I'm gonna say right now with my chest out that the Lakers are the best team in the NBA right now. But we do still got a good little ways to go before the end of the season. So we'll see what happens from here on out.
Yeah, you can definitely interpret the Lakers as being the best team. We're obviously going to discount that performance last night against the Nets. But, we talked about this last week and how imperative it was for the Lakers to at least get one of these games. We thought the Clippers, in our eyes, was the most important win if you had to pick one. But you get two, it's definitely a bonus. Now, I think it's a little bit of recency bias if we go ahead and make that proclamation. So I'm gonna be a little bit more reserved. I'm gonna say no. But hey, the gap that maybe I saw between the Lakers and the Clippers and Bucks is definitely a lot closer. You got to say it's a lot closer. You can't say, I don't think you can say definitively right now that the Clippers and Bucks would be your favorite by a long shot. It's definitely close. I'd still give them a slight edge. But in these games, you talk about some things. Some of the things we were talking about on the Lakers side is that third scorer. Who's it going to be? You look at the performance, you look at what happened against the Milwaukee Bucks. You get 30 from AD and 37 from LeBron. I mean, your next highest scorer was Kuzma at 11 on 3 for 11. So you didn't get a whole lot outside of your main two guys. But, I mean, we talk about Milwaukee and what's going on with them recently. I mean, Chris Middleton, Eric Bledsoe. I mean, can we get something from you guys? I mean, Middleton, your 50-40-90 is taking a turn for the worse, my man. I mean, come on. I've been talking you up. I've been singing your praises because when we talk about elite shooting, that's one of the things I'm looking at. But I don't know. We might have to. It might be a 40-30-80 come the end of regular season because it's going bye-bye. But hey, I mean when you got Giannis out there putting up 32 and 11, playing a pretty fine game before he got hurt, 3-point shooting wasn't much to brag about. But I mean, we talk about the duos, the Lakers and the Bucks is most certainly a mismatch. AD is an absolutely superior player than anything behind Giannis that they have. That just speaks to when you talk about the MVP race. I mean, we talk about, LeBron is great and he's definitely in that conversation. But man, you take Giannis away from the Bucks. I don't think this is going to happen, but let's just assume that Giannis was seriously injured and could not return for the playoffs. What are the Bucks? The best they could do is win one series, and I don't even know if they could win a series. I think they would struggle to win a series. That's how great Giannis is, and that's the drop off between Giannis and Middleton. That's just the way it is. As much as I like Middleton, and as much I believe he can play, he coming up small lately. I mean, we got to be honest at some point. And you know about Eric Bledsoe. I mean, when we talk about X factors, that's the reason you're an X factor, because we're not sure if you're going to be a donut or you actually going to show us something. So, hey, as far as the Laker Clippers game, I mean, Paul George, there's a couple things you can take for this on both sides. I think you're definitely encouraged if you're the Lakers because you hadn't won yet, and the Clippers came out there, they were at full strength. I mean, it wasn't a case where Paul George was missing like opening night, and Paul George, even in game 2, I mean, he wasn't himself. He didn't play well, and you lost both of those games, so you were feeling a little discouraged after that. But in this game, Paul George played well, even though he kind of faded in the second half. I mean, Kawhi was solid. I mean, 9 for 18. He was his usual efficient self. He didn't do much outside of scoring a basketball. He had no assists. I think that's something to be concerned about. But just like the Bucks supporting cast, the Clippers' depth is something that we've lauded throughout the season. And I'm looking outside of Montrezl Harrell. They didn't get much of anything from anybody else. You talk about Lou Williams. I mean, he's 3 for 11 with 7 points. That's not enough. And then the starting lineup. I mean, Marcus Morris, my God, at some point, at some point, you have to recognize that your shot is not available. and you got to do something else. You can't be jacking up that many threes and just clanging every single one up. And then, I mean, Zubac and Beverly, I mean, you combine those guys with Morris, they gave you 8 points. 8 points. I mean, I'm sorry, I need a little bit more, because when AD and LeBron are playing this well, because AD in both these games gave you 30. And that's right on the money that what I would want from AD. Wouldn't you agree? If he gives you 30,
absolutely.
If he gives you 30 a night as your number 2, you gotta if you Frank Vogel, you gotta love that. And then
and he's gonna give you what he gives you on defense. That's the thing about AD. He give you 30 and he give you the defense. That's tough.
Absolutely. And again, we talked about the third score for the Lakers, and it's been my mindset most of the season that it's gotta be Kuzma. Maybe it don't have to be Kuzma. Maybe it just has to be somebody on a given night that can step up. And in this game, it was Avery Bradley. Avery Bradley was fantastic. His three-point shooting was lights out. He made a huge difference, and his defense, and his on-ball defense in particular, is a big deal. So, and I'm not saying it doesn't have to be Avery Bradley every night. No, it doesn't. I don't think it will be. I don't think you can rely on Avery Bradley to perform this way on a consistent basis. Maybe in a 7-game series, you probably get
not offensively anyway.
Absolutely. Maybe in a 7-game series, you get like 1 or 2 of these. But even so, in those other games, you need Kuzma to get hot one night. You need Danny Green to have a great night shooting. I think it does need to be a third guy, because in a 7-game series against the Clippers and Bucks, as much as the Bucks seem to be struggling right now, and the Clippers, I mean, their depth is something that I believe ultimately will be the difference against the Lakers. So I don't think you can rely on these type performances. I think Morris gets it together at some point. I think you see a greater impact from Patrick Beverly. Montrezl Harrell, he's still playing well. My God, he's a beast down there.
He played good. He had a good game, yeah.
So, but yeah, I would be a little bit concerned about Lou Williams, because his game is somewhat reliant upon the whistle of the official with some of the things that he does, and we know come playoff time, because we've seen it with James Harden. Officials swallow their whistles more often. Yep. So you're not going to get some of the calls that you get in the regular season. But hey, if I'm Doc Rivers after this game and I see what Paul George did, I feel pretty good about that. And when you combine Paul George with Kawhi Leonard, you get this level of Paul George to kind of rival what Anthony Davis is doing from the number 2 guys. You know, Kawhi and LeBron, they're probably going to be nip and tuck, or so we think. So my depth should be able to, compensate and beat the Lakers' depth. I also will say this about the Lakers. The acquisition of Markieff Morris was a big deal in this game. Because when you talk about some of the things they do defensively, his lateral quickness and his foot speed and his ability to get out and play guys on the perimeter is a big deal. And I thought he's more well-suited to defend a guy like Montrezl Harrell, as opposed to a guy like Dwight Howard, who wants to kick back and lay up in the paint. So even though Markieff Morris wasn't all that impressive offensively, his defense is something we got to pay attention to, his ability to move on the perimeter against other guys.
And one thing I forgot to add, what Frank, this for you, baby. This for you. I'm going to tell you why. What he did in the second half of that Clippers game impressed me. He cut the rotation down from 11 to 9. Caruso didn't get many minutes if he got in it. I don't even think he got in it. And Dwight Howard got booted out of the
That's right, because of Morris. Yep.
Because of Morris.
Caruso and Howard both got 7 minutes. I believe they both played in the first half.
Yep. So I got to give it to him. That's a tough call for him. It's a tough call because both of those guys have contributed all the way to this point. So he had to make the call, hey, guys, I'm not putting y'all in the second half. And it was brilliant. It was what the team needed. Why? Because now they let Rondo know, when you get in, you got to be efficient. I mean, you got to give us more. And if you've seen it, Rondo had a way better second half than he had in the first half. First half, he kind of flopped around, missed layups, turned over the ball, did all this crazy nonsense. In the second half, he was pretty doggone good running that offense without LeBron. And there's another thing. Those others played well without LeBron being on the floor in that game. They didn't lose the game when LeBron went to the bench. I thought that was awesome, and I had to contribute that to the way Frank Vogel used that 9-man rotation. He knew the guys he needed. He stuck with those guys, and he got the job done. So I wanted to make sure that I threw that out there that, hey, kudos to Frank Vogel. He showed me that he's actually coaching this team and not just mailing it in because he got superstars. He's doing a little something out there, and I thought that was beautiful execution on his behalf.
Yeah, and as far as Rondo, I've been on him throughout the season because I think he is that guy that can come in and spell LeBron and run the team. He had 7 assists in that game. That's what you want. Create efficient offense for other guys and let them kind of tread water while LeBron's out the game because he's not playing 48 minutes. He's not playing every possession, so he's gonna need some breathers. And the Lakers have to be able to tread water, and they can't get boat race when he's out the game. That's going to be too much. And last point on LeBron, you talk about the way he set the tone. 29 free throw attempts in these 2 games combined. That is what I need to see. So his mindset and his focus on getting to the rim, it's a huge deal. That's how he needs to play. That's been his strength his entire career, and it still is today. So that was great to see if I'm a Laker fan.